Now, to our top story for you this morning. The state's case resumes today in the attempted honor killing trial. We heard from the victim's boyfriend, Isaiah, on Wednesday. He took the stand, got emotional, recalling how his girlfriend, 17-year-old Fatima, looked during that violent altercation with her dad.
Throughout this time, are his arms still on her neck?
Yes, ma'am.
During this time, could you see Fatima?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. And how did Fatima appear to you?
Her face was looking like pale, and her eyes were starting to roll back.
Her eyes were rolling back?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say they're rolling back, what do you mean by that?
They were rolling back in the...
Do you want to take a break?
All right, now come to your television set. Look at this. So this is the central piece of evidence, the bus surveillance video attack right outside of Fatima's former school. And what we've done here with this video is we've edited it to slow it down for you. And we put markers there where you can see Fatima, her father, and Isaiah during this fight. It's much more easier and clearer to see it here than when it's moving so quickly. So the question we want to ask this morning, and there it is again. You can see everybody. Take a good look. So you see Dad grabbing Fatima, and you see Isaac, the boyfriend, trying to come in to rescue her. So how's the state's case being presented so far? And what did you think of Isaiah's testimony? Let's bring in our legal eagles. It's Thursday morning, so we've got with us our regular analysts, John Phillips and Michael J. Brown. Good morning to you both. John, let me start with you, please. How do you think the state's case is being presented thus far?
You know, they're going through it really well. And, you know, it's going to be a tough case. At the end of the day, the core issue is this honor killing. You know, she had this boyfriend. She was supposed to go back to Iraq, and she just wasn't going to go. And so there was, you know, this threat of honor killing, and then it gets into her credibility. But what we can clearly see is the things leading up to that, you know, the attack and the assault and the child abuse. So, you know, it's not quite as cut and dry just because we have to get into the, you know, the intent to kill or the attempt to kill.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, that's a great point, John. Let me share that with Michael J. Brown, get his thoughts. So, Michael, you know, having been there as a prosecutor, sometimes attempted homicides can be harder to prove than homicides, can't they? It can sometimes get tricky because we have the victim who survived. So getting to prove, you know, how close somebody was to death can be tough. Would you speak to that on these facts, please, Michael?
You're exactly right. Good morning, John. Good morning, Julie. It's really about if the person's dead, it's much easier to argue, hey, the intent was to kill. When the person survives, now you have that gray area of, is it an intent to cause physical injury, serious physical injury, or actual death? So in this particular instance, like John said, hey, what is in the defendant's mind? And we try as prosecutors to reconstruct that and present that to the jury. Things that are important here are this allegation made prior to the incident of the honor death. I'm going to kill you because you're not following through maybe on a religious beliefs or what, you know, following mom and dad. That is an important piece of the puzzle if it's to be believed, because of course, that shows the intent, and then it shows him carrying out exactly what he threatened to do. That's an important piece of the puzzle if it's to be believed.
Michael, really appreciate that explainer. Thank you. Let's turn to Isaiah now and what kind of a witness he was. I've got a little clip I want to play. Now, this is him being cross-examined about how he fought back and punched Fatima's dad.
He turns around and gives you a punch in the head, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then after that, he's trying to take her away some more, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you decided that you didn't want that to happen.
Yes, sir.
So you went and you punched him.
Yes, sir, because he
knocked
punched
him
me.
to the ground.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And then while he was on the ground, you continued to punch him in rapid succession, right?
Yes, sir.
And maybe hit him 30 or 40 times?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and maybe kicked him in the head 3 or 4 times?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, who do I start? You both have a lot to say. I can tell by looking at your faces here. My gosh. You know what, Michael J. Brown, I'll start with you this time since I started with John last time. What did you think there?
Well, a couple of things, and John's probably thinking the same thing. I mean, there were no objections. This prosecutor is throwing everything he wants into the words of the witness, and the witness
Oh,
is
it was
agreeing
cross.
with him.
I'm sorry. It was cross. Yeah.
Oh,
Cross.
was that cross?
Cross.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Then I'm the stupid one.
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
no, you're not. No, I'm sorry if that was unclear, Michael.
That's all right. But in any event, I think he did great. And here's the thing, Julie. He's a impartial witness. He's giving his description of what happened, and he's talking about how the father, time and time again, is hitting him, kicking him, shoving him, striking him. And it really goes to, again, that intent to inflict this murder because despite these people trying to protect the girl, he keeps driving and going to try to accomplish his goal. He's a really good witness. But again, they have to make that distinction between the intent to cause this injury, serious physical injury, and the death.
Mm-hmm. Great point, Michael. Yeah, this young man, what a good witness. I feel like, thank God he was there. I mean, if I was the prosecutor, I feel like, thank God we have this kid there. I'm not mad that he punched Dad after what Dad was doing there. He was trying to help his girlfriend. John Phillips, what do you say?
I'm a father first. And yesterday I took my 13-year-old to football conditioning and walked the track, and everything was good and safe. And reading this case this morning of this teenage girl and all she had to go through with, some level of education plan, and all of her friends and boyfriend having to come testify about her parents' attempted murder and whether her lips were purple, such that it constituted, more than just a temporary assault. Like it's heartbreaking to think about how, not even just the trial, but like putting her pieces back together will never be the same. It's just awful.
You're so right, John. You're so right. Speaking of Fatima, let's take a listen to her own words on the stand, saying how she was in fear for her life.
What are you thinking during this period of time?
Heartbroken.
Okay. By what?
For what my dad did.
Okay. Did you have any fear?
Yes.
About what?
Of dying.
Where inside the school?
Straight to the office.
Did you tell them anything when you got there?
Yes.
And what did you say when you walked in?
He was trying to kill me.
Okay, it was tough to hear there, but in the first clip she said fear of dying, and she started to choke up, and then she told the school staff when she went in to get to safety that she was being victimized by her father, trying to kill her, were her words. He was trying to kill me. Michael J. Brown, how did those words from this victim's mouth help shape the point you were illustrating earlier about getting to that intentionality you need with an attempted homicide?
It's a big deal, Julie. And really, again, going back to my earlier comments, they should have objected because her belief of what was going on isn't really important and relevant, and it shouldn't be admitted. But nevertheless, oftentimes it is. And when she says, hey, my dad is trying to kill me, that is really, really powerful testimony and words, because when you have a child saying, hey, what he just did to me, I really believe he was trying to kill me, that goes a long way, especially when you're making that appeal to 12 people in a jury box. Big deal.
Yeah, no, you're right, Michael, because it goes to the ultimate issue. So that's a really good point. I know I was surprised myself because let's go through this like a law school problem. So it's hearsay. And like you just pointed out, Michael, maybe it comes in over the objection as an excited utterance or something. But there's an argument to the court, like you just stated. I mean, this is the ultimate issue, whether he was trying to kill her. So for that reason, it may be more prejudicial than probative. Maybe it stays out. So great point. John Phillips, let me ask you about something else that was excluded, because this is still bothering me. And you touched on this earlier when we started the conversation about how this is all about the arranged marriage to an older man in Iraq. And Fatima didn't want to go through with that, did not want to be in an arranged marriage. She loves her boyfriend, Isaiah, wanted to be with him. And the judge has excluded anybody from saying anything about an arranged marriage. Can't do it, can't share that. And I'm curious what you think about that. Do you think that should be the ruling here? Do you think it chips away too much at the state's ability to explain what was behind Dad acting like a maniac that day by the school bus.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, we're in kind of an anti-immigrant society. Not kind of. We're in an anti-immigrant society, and you know, I'm sure the people of Washington State are wonderful, and this jury's all, you know, open-minded, but what the judge has kind of drawn the line at is, if we tell the jury that he was going to arrange a marriage and basically force her into this life she didn't want, that's really prejudicial against the dad and the mom, but really prejudicial. And that she might face the death sentence if she doesn't cooperate. You know, it just pushes everything beyond, here's a video, you decide whether this constitutes attempted murder, you know, and what level of crime this is, because you don't want the jury already so prejudiced that they can't just weigh, you know, the probative, the ultimate, you know, issue here. But you know, it's really hard as we're commenting on it to separate one from the other, because we know, you know, but they try to keep a jury from jumping to conclusions, even if, you know, they're following the facts.
Right. Well said, John. Yeah, we can say honor killing here. We're talking about how this is an attempted honor killing, but the jury, as you noted, won't be hearing that, won't be hearing anything about what was behind this. And you're right, because at the end of the day, the judge has a really important job of protecting the defendant's right to a fair trial. So that's going to trump things, even over the state's ability to prove motive or whatnot. It's always going to be paramount. Great talk with you both. As always, we're going to talk some more. John, Michael, stand by, please. Friends at home, go get some more coffee. Here's what's coming up next on Opening Statements. The attack at the center of the attempted honor killing trial is what you were just seeing there. And today we're going to see more testimony coming before the jury. On Wednesday, eyewitnesses talked about the chaotic scene. But it was really the defendant's courtroom demeanor that got a lot of people talking, how they were reacting as the testimony was coming in.
And then after he punched Isaiah in the face, what did he do after that?
I'm not exactly sure, but I looked and they had fell to the ground and he had Ali in a chokehold and she was trying to get away from him, but she was like losing consciousness.
Did you see how her mom was grabbing her?
She was grabbing at her by like her shoulders, kind of everywhere, just trying to get like a grip on her so that she could get her out of my arms.
Okay.
But it was just like overly aggressive. It wasn't helping the situation at all.
Okay, so I want to note something. They are using a translator in real time. That's why they have the headsets on. So when something is stated, then a translator repeats it back immediately to them. But still very stoic. A lot of people talking about how we're not seeing any emotion from either one of them. So are they going to be seen as sympathetic defendants? Let's talk about this. Let's bring back in Attorney John Phillips and welcome in Attorney C.K. Hoffler. She's going to be with us for our next hour of Court TV Live as well. Good morning to you both. C.K., let me start with you, please. Your thoughts as you have been watching these parents, these defendants, and them looking expressionless before the jury.
I think, you know, they're probably told to be stoic, but also there's a cultural dynamic, Julie, that I think we have to remember. And there's a translator, so there's a lot of delay. But I think the cultural dynamic also, and what they've been told to do by their lawyers, I think prevail in this case. So what we're seeing, there's a delay, there's a cultural element, there's a translator, and it makes for just a very, very different presentation at court.
Mm-hmm. Sure. You know, there very well is a language barrier going on here, the court ensuring they're understanding everything. So fair enough. They also didn't really react when their daughter was up there. A lot of people were watching for that. Here's a moment of Fatima describing when her dad was holding her down in that chokehold.
What are you thinking during this period of time?
Heartbroken.
Okay. By what?
For what my dad did.
Okay. Did you have any fear?
Yes.
About what?
Of dying.
Okay. Are you saying anything?
No.
John Phillips, your reaction to the parents' demeanor, please.
I just got a wave of emotion there. It's hard to watch, you know, and as a father of three boys who just you do everything to keep them safe. All of our children, you know, you literally will give up anything, and there's just such a cultural divide here that you know, as an American, as a dad, as a lawyer, you just went too far. And it's just sad because you want to see that dad, you know, show some emotion, but also he's on trial for his freedom. And so, you know, as the litigator, as the consultant, as the person advising him, you know, you don't want, you want stoic, you know, maybe a little bit more emotion, but you know, it's just the facts here are just awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are, John. I've got another clip here. This is Isaiah, Fatima's boyfriend. He was a witness on the stand on Wednesday, if anybody missed it. This is him describing the altercation. Here we go.
He grabbed her shoulder.
Her shoulder?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do when you saw him grab her shoulder?
I tried to push them away from each other.
Okay. And what did that look like?
I tried to like push her away.
Push her away?
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
I tried to grab his arm and grab her like shoulder so I could like try to separate them. He kind of like spun her around in a way because she didn't want to go with him, and he like grabbed her and put her in a headlock.
Okay, CK, back to you. These young folks becoming such important witnesses in this case. Isaiah, he might have tipped the scales yesterday. Would love your thoughts on him and what we did hear from him being put before the jury.
I think he's probably a very compelling witness. You know, he tried to separate them. He, of course, for the defendant. But I have to say, my heart is beating quickly just in listening to the testimony. And I imagine that the jury is very moved by his testimony. And I think his testimony may be a game changer against the defendant.
Mm-hmm. Right, CK. I'm in agreement. Rescuing his girlfriend, you know, and thank goodness all those bystanders jumped in to rescue as well. You know, I thank goodness he was there. John Phillips, we touched on this a bit earlier in the segment, but would love your thoughts. I can't imagine what would have happened to that poor child had nobody been around. If this was an isolated area and no one else was there, I certainly wouldn't count on mom to step in to do anything. And so your thoughts on how this could have been very different had it not occurred at the school?
July 17th is known as Good Trouble Day, right? John Lewis's old quote about getting into good trouble, getting into necessary trouble. And that's what that young man did. And in his testimony, continuing to tell the truth, to fight for somebody that he cared about. And it is necessary. And whether you're coming to somebody's aid or testifying for them or just being a little more kind, you know, it's what we need to see more of, is us standing for each other. And, you know, I'll get off my soapbox here shortly, but, you know, it's just, my heart goes out to this family. It goes out to this young man. You know, he's doing, you know, he's doing Fatima honor.
Mm-hmm. John, preach. We are here for it. Thank you so much for that perfect note to end the show on. I know we need to let you get off to court. John Phillips, we'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Thank you for everything this morning. CK Hoffler's coming with us to Court TV Live. We hope you do the same at home. If you like this episode of Opening Statements, watch it again, share it, tell your friends about it. We pop up the episodes every day on our website for you at courttv.com.